Good morning.
And good evening, beautiful people. What's poppin', y'all? Dion, how you feeling? Episode 2.
Man, I'm good. We made it to number 2, man. A lot of podcasts don't even make it to number 2, so we on number
Hey,
2, baby.
didn't
Thank
get
y'all for coming.
canceled.
Yeah, thank y'all for coming back. I know y'all may have not thought we were gonna be back, but we back, man. We back. We back with another banger.
Just like Cam Newton, we back. We back. Except,
We back.
yeah. So as always, another great week of sports to talk about. We have a special guest later on. Just hold tight before we get to her. But for right now, though, Dion, man, talk about a blowout on Friday night. Not Saturday, Friday night.
Man, the game was. It's not even much to talk about. The game was pretty much over. Halftime?
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't not much to talk about. Just a really good showing from Texas. I think you were gonna say that they put a game of all 4 quarters together, not a first half and then a shaky second half and vice versa. They came out and let them know that, hey, to the the college football playoffs, we're still them guys. I know we had some shaky games before this, but we're one of them ones. So yeah, not really much to talk about there.
A big statement game for sure for Texas and for the committee to look at that game and be like, dang, by 50? That's crazy. 50 piece, no nuggets against Tech. And what I love the most about that whole debacle is the outside stuff, right? Last year, Joe McGuire mentioned how everything runs through Lubbock. And some of the guys on the team tweeted out after the game on Friday, Jalen Ford tweeted out, does it really run through Lubbock now? They're talking their stuff, and I love that. I love that they're talking trash. They're keeping receipts and they're making sure they're cashing in to those receipts that they kept. And man, another receipt that they kept was Brett Yormark earlier this year. And we talked about this last episode, right? His comments as the Big 12 commissioner saying that he hopes Tech takes care of the business. But they did not take care of any business at all on Friday.
Not at all.
And UT played the video at the game, by the way.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Played the video with like 3-4 minutes left in the game, I believe. And so we're on the field and we see the video start playing. Everyone just takes your phone out, and starts recording it. Because what a great idea by UT's video team to even put the video up on the board. And it's just, I love the pettiness. And Yormark was in the building, so I hope he saw it. I don't know if he did or not.
I was about to say, if anybody has footage of him leaving the game, can y'all send that to us? I want to know what time he left the game, because you putting all your eggs on this team was not the best thing for you. Yeah, it wasn't the best. Wasn't the best take. You should have maybe another team in the Big 12, but yeah, this wasn't a good showing for him and this Tech team. Sheesh.
And one other thing, talk about a good showing. Arch Manning.
I was about to.
Arch Manning.
About to ask, man. What is everybody saying? From what I saw, he looked good out there.
He was solid. I know a lot of people are just talking about how, of course, he didn't throw the ball a lot. A lot of runs, but throughout the 1 or 2 drives that he had, I will say he had some critical third down completions. One went to the other freshman, Jonte Cook, for a first down. And it was on their last drive. They drove 92 yards to get into the end zone to kind of seal the game. I know the game was already over, but 8 minutes left. And I remember being on the sidelines and talking to some of the media guys. I'm like, man, they're on the 8-yard line. There's 8 minutes left in the game. What if Arch just goes out and just ends the game on this drive and doesn't give the ball back to Texas Tech? A real statement drive. And that's exactly what he did. The whole second unit went down the field against Tech, spent all the clock up, and then executed the game plan to score. And Trey Reisner was able to get a touchdown, his first career touchdown as a UT Longhorn. And just a cool moment for all the young guys, right? All the freshmen finally get a shot, in a blowout win. And Arch, man, the crowd went ballistic.
I was about to say, what do you think the fans are? Do you think everybody's getting their Arch jerseys now? Quinn, you better watch out. I don't know about next year.
Hey, man, I'll tell you what, though. Quinn, he definitely had control of the team, and people are excited that hopefully he comes back. That's what the reports are saying. But the future is bright, though. I will say that. Arch, one thing I noticed is he just provides another element that runs the football. I mean, he can move. He can move out the pocket. Over the spring, he actually had a close practice, and reports are coming out that he clocked at 19 miles an hour or 20 miles an hour on a run, which is wild. That's stupid fast, especially for a quarterback, and especially from Arch, who you don't really expect him to move like that.
From the Manning camp, that's definitely impressive.
Yeah, especially from his. But remember, though, he's the son of Cooper Manning. So,
yes.
He's a wide receiver. Cooper was a wide receiver back in the day, one of the QBs. So he has those wide receiver genes as well. And so, yeah, he can move. Arch can move. I think that's what a lot of people are talking about, the way he can escape the pocket. Like I said, made a couple good throws on third down to extend the drives, and a pretty decent showing. And so just happy that he got his moment, and happy that you just saw the rest of the team after those drives. They just all was clapping hands with Arch, slapping his helmet, which I'm like, don't give the kid a concussion, don't hit him too hard, but you saw all the love and support that he got after making his debut in the college field on Friday. So a lot of great stuff, but we also got some great stuff coming up about the next game, Big 12 Championship. We got to dive into that. So to do that, we're going to bring in Tulsa 8 reporter Michelle Montaine. We're able to talk to her about a multitude of topics, not just about the game, but what's happening inside those press conferences with Mike Gundy. What are they saying about Ollie Gordon becoming the guy in Stillwater right now? And also discuss, man, he's a dude. It's going to be a great matchup with that Texas run defense and Tavondre Sweat, Byron Murphy versus Ollie Gordon. So we discuss all those things, and let's do it, right? Let's hop into it, huh, Bia?
Yes, sir, man. This was a great interview. Michelle is a really great individual. We also dived in a little bit about just her career path, and a lot more. So definitely, if y'all enjoy this, we definitely plan on having her and other guests on. Let us know in the comments what y'all think. But yeah, let's go ahead and dive right into the interview.
Now we're joined by the Michelle Montaine, Tulsa 8 sports reporter, also dog lover, I'm told. And then lastly, Texas X, by the way. So all the Texas fans, don't be rude. I know she covers Oklahoma and she covers Oklahoma State, but she is a Texas X. She's one of your own. And so, Michelle, how you doing today?
Corey, I'm honored, first of all, to be talking with you two legends. I'm also great, and I'm so excited so we knew Texas was going to get in. And then between Oklahoma State and Oklahoma, one of them was going to get in. So I knew I was going to be in Arlington, getting to watch the Horns while covering, the teams that I'm professionally responsible for. So I'm excited.
Yeah, it's like a dream come true. And my apologies, by the way. I didn't... Cheers.
Oh,
here you go. Cheers. We did cheers. There you go.
First guess, man.
First guess. Cheers. And so, yeah, speaking about that, right? Wanting to watch the Longhorns in Arlington while covering OK State, it's going to be a crazy day for you. But just tell the people, I'm interested to know, being a Texas X, what was your time at Texas like? Can you just reminisce a little bit and walk me through what was that time on the 40 acres like?
So, being an avid sports fan, my time on the 40 acres saw Mac Brown's last season. The Charlie Strong era began and end. And then I was there because I was double majoring for Tom Herman's first year. So sports-wise, we did get the Strong Smart era when Shaka came in for men's basketball. But football-wise, I was kind of there for that tumultuous stretch that we've all endured over the last decade. But school-wise and social life-wise, I mean, it was awesome. I was studying engineering, so I was literally always studying. I was either studying or, out and, having fun. Not much sleep in between. But, being at school there, you're at an institution where there's so much pride in just being at UT. And I think that that's something that I didn't even realize before I got to campus, was how much you get to say, you went to the University of Texas. And that's something even still today that I'm very proud of. And it's a place that's really taken a piece of my heart. So as far as athletics go, are we about to get
tears? Are we about to get some tears?
I know. Just reminiscing on the hard times. No, I'm kidding. But it's a program that I follow really closely, and it was some of the best, most formative years of my life. But now that I'm gone, I miss it all the time. But I loved every second of being there.
Dope. So what got you into this field? I mean, have you always been an avid sports lover? Is this something that I know some people grew up just loving sports, or was this something that maybe your family instilled in you, the love of sports?
Yeah. So my dad played football in college. My brother played every sport growing up, and so did I. And so I was always around sports. It's funny, even now to this day, people will make like SpongeBob references or TV show references, and I'm like way over my head, because when we were growing up, my brother and I were always outside playing some sort of game or sport with the neighborhood kids, and we were never watching TV. And I think that's where the love of sports really stemmed from. But when I was in school, I studied engineering, and when I graduated, I started working in consulting / basically just corporate America. And so for me, I had to really kind of figure this industry out on my own. I didn't have any formal training in school. And so, it was really just a love for this industry and a dream really of being one day, working in this industry in sports broadcasting, that led me on the path that eventually got me here. But yeah, when I was studying concrete labs in school, I definitely could have better used that time doing like whatever broadcast practice or anchoring in the school
too.
studios.
Yeah. I know that was tough.
Not great.
Oh man. Well, guess what? What is great is who you are on air and who you are on camera right now. You're doing a phenomenal job out there in Tulsa. And so I just want to ask about being a Texas X in Oklahoma. What is that dynamic like? And do you talk about being a Texas X while you're on TV?
For the most part, I don't. I mean, at the end of the day, this place hates Texas, right? Whether it's Oklahoma or Oklahoma State, they both view the program as a rival. And I know how I look at rival schools. I get that people don't like Texas here, so I don't want to just push that down their throats. So for the most part, I don't talk about it. If anything, I'm made fun of for it by the other people who are here, because they're all diehard OU fans or Oklahoma State fans, and they have either gone to OU or they've rooted for the program their whole life. So if I'm talking about Texas, it's usually someone giving me like a horns down in my face on air, and I just take it on the chin. Rude. But yeah. I thought that Baker Mayfield put an end to the horns down thing, but it's fine. But no, I mean, personally living here, I think I'm the only person who has ever worn a burnt orange ball cap for going on a run around this part of town. You don't see burnt orange here.
You just don't wear those colors, yeah.
Yeah, no. We did, Corey, the pregame show that you and I did together ahead of that Red River game earlier this season, people wrote in, why did you put a Texas person on our airwaves? People are diehard. They don't like
I'm a cool
the
guy.
burnt orange.
That's funny.
Well, it was you and me, I think. It was probably more me. They were like, why would she be on TV? I'm like, I've been on TV here for over a year, but it's okay. But I mean, it's weird. It is weird, but you get used to it, and at the end of the day, it's just my job.
Okay.
Dope. So right before we jump into, I guess, the highly anticipated matchup, what's been your favorite sports moment, either being on air or something that you've been able to witness?
Favorite sports moment? Probably the 49-point. This is so bad. Probably the 49-point win in Red River.
Oh my god.
Yo, Corey.
It was the first time.
She's looking to get all the smoke.
Let me explain myself. Okay. I've been through a lot of Red River games where even when you're up by 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, you're still not safe. If you know what I'm talking about. So, to be in a game where the offense looked like it did and the defense looked like it did, I get that we were playing a tight end as a quarterback. But still, I would say that was it was just a fun time for me.
Now, mind you, Dion, she is shooting for Oklahoma. I just want to reiterate, she is covering the Sooners, and she's saying this was the best moment is that the team that she's covering is getting slapped around. I love that.
Okay, maybe I should have used that. When you put it like that, that's not really. That's not how I took it. It was more just.
Hey, look. Our viewers are gonna love this, public. This viewers are gonna love this. So,
okay.
let's talk about this upcoming matchup, though. Enough OU talk. Let's talk about the team that actually made the Big 12 championship, Oklahoma State. You were in these press conferences all year long. You talked to Gundy a lot. And so just what has been the conversation, the mood in the Oklahoma State fan base? Do they believe they have a shot against UT? And what's the vibe like right now?
Yeah. I will say that's one great thing about Mike Gundy is he's always honest, always transparent. His press conferences, while they don't always make national headlines, you really get insight into how he's actually feeling for the most part. And so, of course, they're going to lean on the fact that they've won the last two. I think that Gundy has, even this week, talked about the fact that he's familiar with Texas. Even though this is a different team, he's beat Sark the last 2 years. And so I know that they're pulling on that experience. They're pulling on the fact that, everyone all season has counted them as underdogs in basically every game, except for the ones that they've won. And so I think that they definitely think that they can win. I think their win over Oklahoma is what's kind of I'll call it the basis for why they think they can beat Texas, send both teams to the SEC with losses, familiar with how Sark runs his offenses and his defenses. So I know they think that they can get a win.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing, when it comes to this matchup, OK State has a stud at running back that, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem for them. We're looking at these numbers. I'm looking at these numbers, and these numbers are insane. So, out of the 12 games Ollie Gordon has played, he's gone over 100 yards in 8 of the 12 games. One of these games he has 6 catches for over 116 yards. So he's obviously he can do it all back there. What makes this guy special, and what are you seeing when he steps on the field?
Okay, so I think something is really important to understand from what Oklahoma State has done running the ball. In his first 3 games, right, he had 19 carries. In the first 4 games when they finished the end of September 2-2, if you look at Oklahoma State as a program overall, Mike Gundy has always kind of run this tempo, RPO type offense. And when they were struggling early this season, he was trying to figure out, okay, how do I match the personnel I have with the scheme that I want to run? And so if you watch closely, they were still, obviously they were playing 3 quarterbacks early on this season, but they were still trying to run that RPO system with Ollie Gordon back there. And once they kind of figured out, okay, we have to make a change, you'll see that a lot of times now, excuse me, he's running out of a pistol formation. And instead of running RPO, it's very much a run-first offense that they're running right now. That allows Ollie to use his power and his vision to just get downhill much faster instead of going east to west, trying to read what the defense is giving him, trying to find gaps as he's running. No, this is we know we have a power back. We know he has good vision. If you saw that double overtime touchdown run that he had, he was captured way behind the line of scrimmage, and he bounced out of that, completely went the other direction, went airborne, and ultimately kind of won that game for them. So I think you have to give credit, obviously, to Ollie Gordon and just the skill set he has. But a lot of this, too, was Oklahoma State making the adjustments they needed to, changing the way that they've run their offense for a good part of the last decade to really make it so that Ollie can use his weapons to the best of his ability. You mentioned he has, 8 of his 12 games over 100 yards. It's really, if you think about it, it's 8 of his 9 games over 100 yards, because those first 3 they don't really count. Like he was
we can
in a
scratch those
mix.
off.
He was in a rotation where he was averaging 6 carries through 3 games. Like, and now you look at his numbers and you're like, what was happening? So it's a lot of credit to Ollie, but it's also a lot of credit to that staff, to even Gundy, realizing what they had in him and handing the ball off to him.
And do you feel like there was like a turning point? Like what was like the big, was there just a certain run, or did Ollie go to the coach and say, yo, coach, I'm back here. Give me the ball.
Use me.
I'm one of those guys.
Ollie openly talked about the fact that he said to Mike Gundy, if you give me the ball, we will start winning. And that, I think that conversation, I can't remember if it was after the Iowa State game or if it was after the South Alabama game, but there was a time, and Gundy's talked about it, where he said, look, like, give me the rock. And Gundy even, Ollie Gordon was on this team last year. He finished 3rd in rushing behind Spencer Sanders and their starting running back last year. Dominic Richardson, I think. And Gundy said, I mean, I had seen Ollie all of last season and through off season this year, and I didn't even know that he was as good as he is. And so I think it's really been a combination of things. Ollie's obviously grown as well. But I mean, you mentioned some of those numbers. I mean, he leads FBS in almost every major rushing category. And again, that's basically not counting 3 games. So he was at a disadvantage. If you look at Oklahoma State history specifically, I mean, he's tying Barry Sanders with the accolades that he's put up this year. The 5 touchdowns he had in that game against BYU matched the program record set by Barry Sanders. I mean, this guy is special. And I think that it's really good on all of them that they realize they had that talent and that they're putting it on full display.
Well, you talk about how special he is. Texas has a dude up front on that D line that's special as well. I know you know him, T'Vondre Sweat. What has Gundy said about, I know you love T'Vondre. Everyone loves T'Vondre. Everyone does. And so what has Coach Gundy said about this Texas run defense? Because that's going to be the matchup. You know, you have Ollie, which is true, but Texas is coming off a game where they slowed down Taj Brooks, who was 2nd in the conference in rushing yards. And so they faced a great running back just a week ago. And so what does Gundy think can be effective for their run game against Texas defense that no one has really run well against?
Okay, I will answer your question, but can we also just put on the back burner that I have a question right back for you? We need to get to the bottom of T'Vondre Sweat stiff-arming Jalen Ford.
Oh, shoot.
To make that tackle for loss.
Yeah.
I'm just going to put that out there a lot. That's
good. I got you.
So, I mean, obviously that's the matchup, right? One of the best running backs in the country, if not the best, against one of the best or 4th best rushing defenses in the country. It was the first or second question that Gundy was asked about this week going into this matchup. He acknowledged that the stats that the Texas defense has posted up till this point in the season are impressive and that they're going to have to find a way to work around that. I will say and Gundy's response to it basically was, look, we have to have a balanced attack. If I know we're going against a really solid Texas defense, his response basically was like, I know what they're going to do. We know what we're going to do. And we've just got to find a way to either make in-game adjustments or basically spread the ball out if Ollie is limited. And we've seen games where Ollie has been limited before. Especially we've seen halves of games where Ollie was limited, even this last week against BYU. I will say, what's super underrated about this offense is that the offensive line, 6 of the 8 guys are seniors. They're super experienced. They have one of the best quarterback hurries and quarterback pressure rates in the nation for Alan Bowman. And last game against BYU, when they needed to start throwing the ball because Ollie couldn't get started running, Alan Bowman has time back there. He's protected. This offensive line is good. I think they have him at like a 1.1% sack rate, which is, again, like one of the best in the country.
Yeah.
And so
he's barely getting touched.
Right. And so when they needed to step up, when Alan Bowman needed time to make passes downfield in the second half of this game and then in those double overtime games, he's had the time. And mind you, this is a defensive front for Texas that can do both, right? They can stop the run. They can also pressure quarterbacks, get into the backfield. But this offensive line for Oklahoma State is super underrated in my opinion. And I think Alan Bowman can do enough to spread the ball out to obviously Brendan Presley's a big weapon for them, but you've seen guys like Rashad Owens and Leon Johnson emerge in these like down the stretch. And so they have some playmakers on the outside. And if anything, they know how to get the ball out if that run game is limited. So that would be, I think, if I had to kind of guess what their approach would be is, you know, if they can't get Ollie going, they're going to have to do these, you know, short passing game tactics and try to get the ball downfield that way. And of course, as we all know, once you open up the passing game, that also opens up the running game. So I think it's going to be a combination for them for sure.
So really quick, like, what is y'all's prediction coming into this game? Who do y'all think is going to take it? What do y'all think the score is going to be?
Oh, wait, before we go, I got to answer a Jalen Ford question.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you asking about why he got stiff armed by T-Sweat?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we actually asked him about that on Monday, and it's just a direct quote. Shout out CJ Bogle, by the way, for posting a whole quote on Twitter. Much love. But we asked Jalen about it, you know, and he was just like, I asked him on the field, Tavondre Sweat that is, what was going on, and he gave me a hug after, but that still wasn't enough. But I will say I felt a little better because they gave me half a TFL. So Jalen was like, dude, why'd you push me? But then he checked the stat sheet, he got half a TFL. So it's like, I guess that's cool. But yeah, so no one really knows why. Okay. Yeah, no one really knows why Sweat like stiff armed him. But you know, maybe he just wanted the stat sheet, a little stat sheet stuffer. That's all it is.
You get this on film.
Awesome.
Yeah, let me get this
on film.
But yeah, predictions, huh, Dion?
Yeah, since we have we have a Texas and a half reporters here. What are y'all predicting is going to happen?
I'll let Michelle go first.
All right. So last time, I have like so many thoughts on this. Last time I picked Texas when we did this, Oklahoma came out on top. I will say this, all right? Even if Texas has a double-digit lead at half, heck, even if they have it by the end of the third quarter, I don't think they're safe. I think Oklahoma State has proven that they can come back from whatever point deficit at any point in the game, and that they're certainly not going to give up. I also think that if Texas plays the way Texas can play in all aspects of the game, Burt Auburn, Mr. freaking Streak.
Breaking records.
Yeah. That
held by Justin Tucker. I
know. Which
crazy.
Yeah. Just missed the other day, which like he doesn't do. If Texas plays the way they can play, they'll win. But Oklahoma State is so underrated in every circle, really, that I think that they're going to put up a heck of a fight. They've already beaten Oklahoma, right? They've proven that they can beat teams that are theoretically better than them, that are projected to beat them. So I think it'll be closer than, I think it's a 14.5 spread right now.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Crazy spread.
ESPN Bets has Texas at minus 14.5.
Yeah, so I don't think that it'll be that wide of a margin, but I think that Texas will get the win and get their first championship in a hot minute.
Man, when Yormark hands that trophy off, oh man.
You've been waiting on this moment.
Man, well, I was waiting for last week. Dude pulled up. He was gone by halftime. Had to have been. I mean,
so he didn't see the nice.
I don't know. I don't have confirmed if he was in the suites or not. But I mean, that was late in the fourth, like with 3-4 minutes left to go in the game. So the game was been over. So I don't know if he stayed the whole time. I doubt he did. But what a night! What a night! But anyways, prediction for Saturday.
Do y'all think it'll be a shootout, or y'all thinking this is going to be a defensive, 14-10 type deal?
I think it's going to be a big fill out period. So like my prediction, I think it'll be about, I'm going to go Texas by 8. I think it's going to be a close game. Because Oklahoma State's going to want to run the ball. They're going to want to control the time of possession. And in Texas, they're really balanced offense. They're not really slinging around, especially after C.J. Baxter and J.D. Blue. They all bought out last week. Keelan Robinson, even Trey Wiseman, he got into the end zone. So, I think it's going to be not 42-38. You know what I'm saying? Nothing like that. I do think it'll be 35-28. Something like that, something around there, but not like a big time shootout like the Pac-12 or something.
Got you. No, I love this conversation. Is there anything else y'all want to cover on this, or can we get in more into about Michelle's life?
Yeah, I look, you want to dig a little bit into Michelle's life just because she has so much to talk about, and honestly, inspiration for a lot of people and a lot of young girls who may be wanting to get into the business, knowing that Michelle, I mean, you graduated with a civil engineer degree, and now you're in the sports media industry, which is so crazy. That transition must have been wild. Can you just speak to me just about being a woman in sports and being in these rooms when you're in the press conferences, when you're in these sidelines with a bunch of dudes, if we're being honest? What's it like just being a woman in sports and covering sports in general?
It's, for the most part, I don't really notice that it's me and a bunch of dudes. There are times, of course, when you do, but maybe it was growing up around, my brother and all of his friends. The neighborhood kids were always guys that I'm just used to being in that kind of atmosphere. But it's not like at the forefront of my mind most of the time. I will say when I see another female on the sidelines or in a room, like I usually will immediately introduce myself or say hi or compliment, her shoes or her outfit or whatever, as a way to kind of make friends, break the ice, because there are usually so few females. But for the most part, it's not even really something that I spend too much time or energy dwelling on. It is, for me, just kind of how it's always been, or the fact of the matter of this is what, the day-to-day is like. I also think that having a strong personality in myself has greatly benefited me in the situations that I'm often found in. Just about every press conference, especially here in Tulsa, I am the only female. And I think that could be intimidating if you don't have the right level of confidence in yourself or belief in yourself or confidence in your preparation. If you're second guessing, oh, is this a stupid question? I will say there are definitely times where it's like, I would think, oh, maybe that was a dumb question. And then you're like, no, the guy next to me wouldn't be second guessing his question if he asked the same thing that I did. So no, it's not a dumb question. Like there are times where you kind of have to check yourself. But I think for the most part, it's, the guys that I'm around are great guys, like the two of you. And at the end of the day, you're a person around people. And so that's something that I more so focus on, is just these are really great guys, really great people. They're usually, for the most part, super welcoming, respectful. If I have a question, they'll let me ask it. So it's a thing. Don't get me wrong. It is a thing, and it's something you notice undeniably, but it's also not the biggest thing to where it impacts, right, being able to do your job, and something that hinders me for the most part in any situation, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
no, that makes a lot of sense. So what was that transition from graduating at Texas, and now I'm looking for a job and I land in Tulsa? Like, what was that whole process? Was this one of your first jobs to call you back, or just tell us about that whole transition from, man, I don't know if I'll be liked over here, or I don't know if they'll look up my history of that I went to Texas. Like, just tell us about that whole transition.
Yeah, so for me it was super long. Like I graduated at the end of 2017, and I already had my first job lined up in consulting, and I was starting at the beginning of 2018. And then I didn't take a full-time job in TV till the beginning of 2022. So that was like 4 years of probably the hardest years of my life, to be honest. I worked a full first year in consulting without doing anything TV wise. And so it was really like the spring of 2019 where I had decided, I've always wanted to be in sports broadcasting. If I don't go after this now, I never will. And so the onus came upon me to figure it out. And I had a job where, if anyone is familiar with strategy or management consulting, I mean, you're definitely working more than 40 hours a week. And at that point, I was traveling every week. And so it was it was a lot. I knew I wanted to do this other thing. I had no formal training in it. I really had no idea what I was doing. And it basically just started with me picking up the phone and me saying, like, this is what I want to do. And so I was really lucky. I met some anchors at the DFW NBC affiliate who helped me get like my first anchor tape together, sports anchor, that is. And then when COVID hit, this is a long, long story. This is a long 4 years of my life, but I got moved to Florida for my full-time job. COVID hit, so I stopped traveling. That actually was a blessing for me in terms of the time it gave me. And at that point, it was just like, I'm going to figure this out. And so I was researching like how to do stand-ups, how to shoot things, how to write like a broadcaster, how to edit, how to put a reel together, all of those things. And
you didn't learn it in college.
What?
Because you didn't learn it in college. And so you're trying to learn all these things out of college. Yeah. You're majoring in civil engineering, which is
those are two far ends of the
completely
spectrum.
Different. Yes.
Two completely ends of the spectrum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so then I had heard about this school, the Dan Patrick School of Sportscasting. And I was fortunate to be in Florida. And so I was still working full time. I enrolled there. And so I was getting like formal training there on the side. And then I was freelancing every opportunity I could, at nights and on the weekends. So I had like these 3 full-time responsibilities. I joke with people, I learned a level of efficiency that I wish I never knew. Because when I tell you every minute of my day was accounted for, I mean every single minute. I had a full-time, over 40-hour week job, and I was doing all this stuff on the side. And so finally, it was September 2021. I got an internship with Fox Sports Digital, or Fox Sports on their digital team. And I said, this is it. And so I went on leave of my full-time job. From September 2021 to April 2022, those 7 months, I was actively reaching out to everyone I could to try to get a job, a full-time job. And so I had a couple opportunities in the spring of 22, and I ultimately chose the Tulsa job. I talked to a bunch of people, got a bunch of advice, and felt like this was the right choice at the time based on what I had. And yeah, so that's kind of how it went. Did I think that they were going to like me? I don't know. I was definitely maybe I shouldn't tell people I went to Texas, but I think in my bio online, that was the first thing I wrote. I'm like, all right, let's get the elephant out of the way.
Get it out of the way. Yeah.
Yeah. Went to Texas, but I promise I just won't talk about it. And for the most part, I really don't.
Well, that's awesome. What a crazy journey, by the way.
No, that's a very unique path. That's a very unique path.
To be self-taught about how to do this, and be in this industry and just look up videos, that's crazy, but it just shows your work ethic, and it shows how much you really care about what you do and what you love. And so my last question would just be about, there's a lot of girls that are in your shoes right now at Texas, or were in your former shoes, I guess I should say, at Texas, trying to learn how to be a sports broadcaster. I see them on the sidelines. I see them doing their stand-ups after the games for TSTV. And so for any young sports anchor, sports reporter, girl or boy, what are some advice that you would like to give them?
I think the biggest thing that I would say is this whole job, at any point in it, at any point in your career, until you're like Kirk Herbstreit, the more uncomfortable you are, the better you're doing. And what I mean by that is, it never ceases to amaze me that I think I'm a pretty outgoing person, and I still find myself, when you're at big events, it's on you to go up and introduce yourself to so-and-so, to Chris Budden at Big 12 Media Days, or to Reese Davis, who was on the sidelines at the UTOU game. The Texas OU game. And while that feels uncomfortable, while I'm so used to talking to strangers at this point in my life, it still makes me nervous to be like, oh, I need to email this person or reach out to this person. You know, I'm trying right now to figure out kind of my next steps. And even now, even after I've sent hundreds of either cold emails or follow-up emails or introductory emails, I still get nervous to press send on emails to people in, you know, hiring positions. And I think that that's something that I would say to younger people is you have to put that aside. You have to just know, like, there's a certain level of uncomfortableness that comes with being in this industry. And if you really want to make it to the, you know, highest ends, which I am, by the way, not at all, you know, I just aspire to get there one day. I think there's a certain level of just knowing you're going to be uncomfortable. You're going to have to do the things you don't want to do if you want to get to where very few people get. And hopefully that works.
No, that was perfect.
I don't know. That would be my advice.
Well, no, I tell you this right now. It is uncomfortable. It is very uncomfortable. And those emails, and you're staring at that email for
I'm about to say
minutes,
double, triple, quadruple checking.
Like, sure, I got the right comma in there. It is that a lot of people don't get jobs off of just punctuation on emails. Like, it's really crazy. So that's great advice. Yeah. It's really great advice. And like,
I mean,
networking is a real thing.
Yeah. Yes. And that's the thing. Like, there's people will always kind of tell you the basics, right? And all of those things apply, right? Like, you have to work hard, you have to figure out ways to set yourself apart, you have to like think of creative content that other people aren't doing. And Corey Mose is the best at that, but whatever. Like there are always things, but that's one thing that I think is kind of underrated, is like, networking is obviously how you get jobs. Like, they don't post jobs online for the most part. No. You know, at the higher levels.
If you see it posted, too late.
Right. So if you want to kind of be on the front end of that stuff, it is all about who you know, and the way you get to know people is by putting yourself out there in very uncomfortable situations a lot of the time.
Well, and that's the thing with this business, right? I feel like you make it in this business and you go far in this business by being a good person. And at the end of the day, if you're a good person, people will open up doors for you. And so you're a great person, Michelle, and that's why I wanted to have you on as our first guest. So thank you so much for your time.
Wait, before we get out, I got one last question. I got one last question. So when it came to, I know you said you were, you know, kind of figuring it out as you were doing your marketing job. Did you take advantage of social media by posting content there, or just trying to take advantage of that? I know that's kind of in the new generation now that I've seen. I get a lot of my news or sports news from TikTok, of just swiping and people covering different things. So was that an avenue that you took advantage of? I know we're kind of in that middle of our age group, kind of in the middle of, we're just now really starting to take advantage of it, and the generation under us is like fully invested in building a career and brand off of, you know, these social media apps. So was that something, when you were going around on your journey, was that something that you took advantage of, or tried to build your brand or practice, you know, stuff like that from social media?
Yeah, it wasn't as much as before I started like full-time in TV. Interesting you bring that up though, because when I was interning at Fox Sports, I was on their digital team. So everything was about social media, and I learned a ton. I mean, a ton. Michael Buckland at Fox Sports is basically in every award for sports, journal, whatever, almost every month or every year, because he's so smart and he's so good at what he does. And he taught me so much just in terms of how, like, think about RJ Young, right? I know he's an Oklahoma guy. He built his foundation on going deep in one area, and then he got picked up by Fox Sports. That's just one example. Then you have people like Charlotte Wilder, who started out as a writer. She had her own niche on social media, and she got picked up by Fox Sports. So I didn't so much before I started full time on air, but once I did, I took so much of what he said and I tried to apply that to my own stuff. And like, I was really lucky. I got a couple videos that went viral on TikTok, and it's crazy how quickly you see your followers grow. And and your likes and everything grow, if you can kind of capitalize on those one or two things that make social media super successful.
One or two.
Yeah.
Yeah, Corey's definitely the viral guy himself. So
I'm not. We're not hyping this up,
Hey,
dude. But
I am only on this podcast because of Corey Moses' social media. So
exactly.
We'll just
what do you mean by that?
I
found you on Twitter.
I
found you on Twitter. I liked every tweet you had ever tweeted, and then I went up to you and I said hi. You know the rest.
Hey, and like you mentioned earlier, you walk up to people and you just introduce yourself, and then boom, connection made. So that's exactly what this is. Yeah. So you practice what you preach. Love that. Love that.
And you never know, you might get a best friend, favorite person out of it. You know?
Easy money. Easy money.
Facts.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Dion, you good? Any other questions I need to know about Dion?
Nah, man, I think I'm good. I mean, she just basically, that's how we met, bro. I just walked up to you. So it's funny how,
No.
that seems to be the common theme.
Just walk up to Corey.
Michelle, if you don't know, me and Corey went to UTA I went there for a year or two, and I met Corey literally on my second day of going there. I asked my barber before I went up there for my freshman year. I was like, yo, how do you make friends? Like, what is, I was nervous. I'm going to be in this new scenery. Like, yo, how do you make friends? And he was like, literally, you can just go up to people and say you like their shoes. And
funny enough, shoes, dude.
Yeah, funny enough, I used that exact line. I was like, yo, bro, I like your shoes. And we kind of just went from there.
He thought I was capping. So when he said that, I said I got him off Twitter, And so when people say that, they're like, man, you just trying to gatekeep, you're not trying to tell me I'm like, no, bro, like there's a random link on Twitter. And I saw the shoes and I liked them and I bought them. And it was like a scammy website. I will say that. I was nervous if I was going to get the shoes or not. But I did. Yeah. But he thought I was lying. I was like, bro, why would I lie about that?
Like, no way there's people actually doing that. That sounds really sketch. But I was telling them, I've been thinking about doing the same thing, though. So, so I was like, oh, this actually works? Okay, bet. But we built our friendship off literally just me going up to him. And after that, he invited me to a bunch of things. And, we became best friends after that. So it's funny how, like y'all say, just literally putting yourself in uncomfortable situations will bring you. You never know where it'll bring you.
Right.
And like y'all say, it's brought us here. So yeah, to anybody out there, young, old, don't be afraid to, get out your shell, go to those networking events, go to those places where you feel like you may not belong. You just never know what may happen and who you may meet. So for sure, this was a dope conversation. I appreciate you, Michelle, for joining us.
You guys are the best. Yeah. Thank you so much for letting me come on and being the first cheers.
I'm so honored. Well, thank you for your time, Michelle. I'll see you in Arlington.
3 days. 4. 3.
Yeah.
Ooh.
All right, y'all.
I'll be wearing neutral colors.
Hopefully.
Proud of you.
She learned her lesson.
Hey, that was live. I messaged that heavy. No, especially the part that she talked about. First off, thank you, Michelle, for coming on. And she gave some great insight to me, just hearing how Ali went to Coach Gundy and was like, give me the ball. We're going to win if you do that. Like, that's from a kid who can't even buy a beer, right? He's telling a coach how to run his program. And then for Gundy to listen and be like, yeah, you're right. If I just give you the ball more, we'll start winning games. And that's exactly what happened. So it's crazy that was a conversation had, and now they're in a Big 12 title game.
Yeah, to have the trust in your sophomore running back, and the first couple of games, not really giving him the love. And I don't know, like you said, there was a turning point where he goes to the coach and says, yo, just trust me, coach. I think I can get us to turn this season around, or even just help our offense to be better. That takes a lot. And for, like you said, the coach to just double back and say, yeah, you know what? I'm not going to let my ego get in the way of this. But also one of my favorite things he said, it was just her journey all the way to getting to where she's at now. And it's kind of crazy. You don't hear that story often of civil engineer to being on TV. That's completely different. So you don't hear that. You don't ever really hear that, and that was just a unique story. But yeah, I love this whole interview, man. That was amazing.
Yeah, I definitely love that. And so, thank you again, Michelle, for coming on, providing that insight. Just a blessing. And so, man, let's hop into another topic of conversation that's been swirling around the betting worlds, right, Dion? That's what you're telling me.
Yeah, man. So I wanted to ask you, since you are in the media and reporting, recently ESPN introduced ESPN Bets, right? So this is going to be a new service where instead of you having to go to these other, I guess, brokers, Prize Picks, Underdog Fantasy, what else is out there? I can't even think of all of them, but there's so many different ones.
Like FanDuel,
all these different sports books that you can go and bet. You can actually bet directly on ESPN through their app and through their broker. And so my biggest question was, how do you think, or do you think it'll affect reporting when it comes to either their talk shows or even when it comes to just live reporting from some of their biggest reporters, Stephen A. or Adam Schefter or Woj? Do you think it'll affect them? And do you think that, I don't want to say ethical because they're a business, so maybe their ethics aren't as important, but do you think that's a great thing for them to merge the betting world with, being the worldwide leader in sports, as they say?
Yeah, it's a tricky slope, right? Because like you mentioned, you're in bed with the enemy, and so it's kind of weird to have this combination and these two businesses coming together. But to answer your question, as a journalist, you have a ethical integrity, to report the truth. And so I don't think dudes and women that are high up, like at ESPN, like at Stephen A. Smith, Adam Schefter, and so they're not going to sway their reporting skills because of this merger. But I will say, I feel like Vegas is going to have a lot of inside information now that since they're merging with ESPN and since they have all these resources now when it comes to information, since ESPN has all these inside reporters, they're going to know all this inside information before the public does, which means the lines are going to change a lot faster when it comes to these betting lines. Now, I will say, of course, Vegas already has their inside knowledge because there's been some times where it's like, how did they know that this line is going to go that way? But it's like there's things that people don't report or people may not know about to report on. For example, we discussed this, the whole Joe Burrow situation in Cincinnati, right? Coming to the game, Cincinnati knew he was hurt, but none of the general public did and none of the media knew, and so that's something that Vegas now will have that information. And so who knows how that line would have went, knowing that Joe Burrow was hurt and knowing that he had a chance to get hurt worse in that game, except no one else in the public knew about it. And so that, I think that's the type of stuff that could start happening, is that Vegas gets all this inside information from ESPN. So their lines are going to be very, very particular. And it's going to be something to watch. And I don't think the reporting side.
Let's not forget the Bijan situation of him having a headache.
Yeah.
Because man, they're gonna definitely, situations like that are definitely gonna be looked under a microscope. And I don't know. I just feel like, I mean, is it a liability that you want to take with? I mean, of course you're gonna make, because sports betting is a $1 billion, if not $1 trillion industry. But I don't know. Do you want to? I don't want to say taint that aspect of like, I feel like when these guys are telling me things, it's truthful. But I guess so. And now that we're talking about, the integrity of, and this is the last topic, we're talking about integrity. Did you hear about Carissa Thompson?
Oh, man. Dang, that's what we should have asked Michelle. Oh, man, I want to get her perspective as a woman. Oh, my goodness. Crap. Dang. Yeah, that's a great point. We got to have her on. We got to have her back on. We got to have her back on. That's a great topic. Yeah, what a crazy story, right?
If you don't know, if you haven't heard, so Carissa Thompson actually came out recently saying that Was it a particular? I know. I think she said just in her journalism as being a sideline reporter. That she would sometimes come up with stories or things that the coaches said because she didn't have either access or the coach didn't want to talk to them, or maybe they didn't give them a good enough interview answer or whatever the case may be. So she would sometimes come up with simple things like this team they want to play harder on defense, or they need to shoot the ball better. And what I saw was kind of 50-50. Some people were like, it's not that big of a deal. And some people were like, no, that's she's not holding, like you say, the integrity of reporting. So what was your whole thoughts on that situation? So we're mentioning integrity. Did she think that's something that she should be doing, or, it's like a harmless white lie?
No, definitely not. What killed me the most about it was the way she said it. The way she said it was very, I did it. So what? And I'm like, come on, dog. Like, now you're ruining the credibility. And this is why I wanted to ask Michelle this, because now you're ruining the credibility of every other silent reporter, who are majority women, by the way, who already get ridiculed for what they know about sports. And so now you're throwing this bag on top of it, saying, not only do I not think women know anything about sports, but now I have evidence that women make up stuff on the sidelines about sports. So now it's like, that's not fair to every other woman who is a silent reporter that's grinding, that's trying to make it to the spot that Carissa's at. And this is unfair because now everyone has this idea about silent reporters that may not be true for everyone else in the business, but because the woman at the top or one of the women that are at that level are doing it, that means everyone else must be doing it. And that's just not true. So that's what I didn't like about it, because now she's tainting not only her name, but every other sideline reporter that has to come on TV every night and report the things that they found out and the things that they talk to their coaches about. So I had a problem with it for sure, because it's a trickle down effect. It's not just her that gets affected. Everyone else does too, including myself.
Yeah, I was about to say, because it's going to be it's going to be hard to look at anything that anybody said, because it's such a small. The sideline reporting isn't like this big thing that they promote. It's really quick. They say something and that's it. So it's like, now this little segment that was kind of important, they would talk about injuries. They would talk about, what their coaches are going to focus on, what the team is going to focus on. It's kind of ruined that to an extent, because it's like, this isn't, I don't know if this is important. If we don't all know these people, because, football players, you don't really get to see, unless they're a big name quarterback or receiver or whatever, you don't really know what their personality. So you don't even know if these guys are really saying these things in the first place. So yeah, she's just kind of really.
That's the worst part too, right? Because I'm watching the games. That's all I think about now. When I see like a sideline report come up, or if I hear, a sideline reporter give their spiel from what they found out at halftime, I'm like, Carissa Thompson. Yeah. Like, that's the first thing that comes to my mind. Is like, oh yeah, Carissa Thompson. Like, that shouldn't be the first thing that comes to my mind now. Like, I shouldn't be questioning different things about what people are reporting. But the only reason why I am is because that video came out.
Yeah, right.
And so, I don't know. I don't think it's fair. I really don't think it's fair. And so, the integrity is a big, big deal for our business, because once you lose credibility, then whatever you say means nothing. And so not being able to have that credibility is such a big factor. And I'm surprised that, because right now she's a host for Amazon Prime, and she does the Thursday night game. And so, like, it's not like she's off the airwaves. Like, she's still working. And so I'm interested to see, like, what her following's like from now on, and how much support she gets. But I will say, people in the industry and people that were on social media that I saw that are in the industry, they weren't happy. They were tweeting at her, just basically saying what I just said. Like, it's not fair to everyone else that now all their names.
You made it harder.
Yeah, made it harder. So, and we just heard Michelle's story. Like, it's hard. It's hard to get in this mug. So once you're in, trying to stay in it is hard, and grow is hard. And so, like, now it's even another barrier to try to build in this industry, that people are like, do I believe what you say? Because that chick at the top, no, she doesn't. Yeah, she doesn't do it. So
yeah, I can already imagine, because I mean, we've had instances where Stephen A. Smith has going on and said, "Oh, I've heard this from such and such," and all the NBA players, yo, I don't know what he's talking about. For a good while, you're like, is he lying? Is he just coming up with just who are your sources? Like, and it'd be like sometimes it's simple things. Oh, I've heard he doesn't like playing there. It's like they all come out and like, I don't where are they getting this information from? So just from, like I say, from that small thing, and maybe she thought because the coaches and the players themselves didn't have, I guess, an issue with it for her being in the business for as long as she has. Maybe she thought like, oh, okay, well, if they don't have an issue with it, then I don't think anybody else. But when you put it in perspective, like, no, this integrity is the biggest thing when it comes to our craft. You know, having sources that trust us, having players and coaches and management that trust us is crucial to what we do on a daily basis. She definitely has made it rough. She's gonna make it rough for, you know, because at that point you're gonna get the bad apples that, well, I mean, I may not even need to go talk to the guys. I can just say what I think of on the game.
I do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So they're doing bad on third down, so they need to do better on third down.
And like, don't get me wrong, some of the stuff they say it'd be obvious anyway, but it's just like, dang, you out here lying, like
yeah. And open about it. And, you know, that's what happens when you go on like podcasts like Barstool. You know, that's kind of just like the vibe of them. You know, and I think she felt comfortable being in that environment. She thought it was like, oh, I'm on Barstool. Like, we can say whatever you want.
With the bros.
I'm with the bros. You know, like, nah. You got to watch what you say, man. You got to watch what you say. You can't be too relaxed because that's something that she should have kept to herself for sure. And now she's getting blasted. And so, yeah, crazy situation over there. But she still had a job. You know, she didn't get fired. So, you know, still making bread. True. Mm-hmm.
Man, this was another great week, man. Episode 2. We hope y'all enjoy. For this game. Yeah, this is gonna from
Texas, Oklahoma State.
You know, an elite defense from Texas, and I really can't wait to see. I can't wait to see, like you said, last week them shutting down Tech.
Thomas Brooks
to 9 yards.
No,
was it 9 yards?
That was Kansas State. So last week,
gotcha.
Last week, Thomas Brooks, shut down 95 yards. He didn't get 100 yards, so. That's something that was a goal, and so they were able to stop Taj Brooks for not reaching 100 yards. And he did have a couple runs, though. I will say I'm gonna give my props to Taj. Like, shout out, like he had a couple 10, 15-yard runs. He broke loose a little bit, but it's just tough. That defense they're stout, and so they showed again why they're one of the best. I say the best front line in the nation, and we're gonna see another test on Saturday with Ali Gordon. So,
and really quick before we get out of here. Do you think they're going to make it in? I know I keep asking every week, but
and the path is still there, right? Florida State needs to lose. I mean, that's basically what it is. Florida State needs to lose. They're playing Louisville in the ACC championship. Now, I watched Florida State against Florida. They didn't look too great. Now, mind you, Florida looked worse, but Florida State didn't look great.
Was that 13-10 game or?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was something like that. I know Florida was up early by double digits, but they came back. Like I said, Florida's just not a good program right now. So Louisville, though, they have a good shot to beat Florida State with their backup QB, and I'm excited. Because there's a good shot. I think there really is that Louisville can take it, which then knocks Florida State out of the conversation. Michigan defeated Ohio State, so Ohio State is out of the conversation. So then at that point, if you're a Texas fan, you just want to bank on Washington beating Oregon in the Pac-12 championship and Georgia beating Alabama in the SEC championship. So there's no conversation of who should get in. At that point, it'll be Georgia, Washington, Texas, and Michigan with no questions asked. So that would be the road. That's the easiest. But of course, everything doesn't come easy. So we'll see how everything shakes out this weekend. But I'm excited, though. I really am. Because Texas has a shot. If they just take care of business on Saturday, though, that's been the focal point. Take care of business on Saturday.
That's the first step.
What happens, happens. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's the first step. Well, my final thoughts, man, as y'all heard from the episode, man, if you have a goal or dream that you are thinking of and aspiring to do, chase it, man. Find a way to chase it. Make those sacrifices. Make it happen. When you put your mind to it, and you put your grind to it, it'll work. It'll find its way to work out in the end. So, any final thoughts, Corey?
No, only thing is, as always, I love y'all. Jesus loves you too. He actually loves you more. So that's all I got for another episode of Mose Knows. And you're...